So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you guys are keeping well. Smash the like button on this video, hit the subscribe button, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and let's get into this video. What the hell is on my fur jacket? Oh, whatever. But yeah, guys, I want to talk about Mr. Ryan Garcia, and then we'll talk about Mr. AJ in part 1 and part 2 of this video. So, Ryan Garcia says he will knock George Kambosos out in 7 rounds. What do you guys make of that? You know what? I made a video the other day about Gervonta Davis and said that why don't their team seriously look to make that fight with George Kambosos? It doesn't make sense to me. I feel like Golden Boy should be looking to break the door down to make that fight. Because Kambosos right now, he's looking for money. In my opinion, I don't think it's about, you know, fighting Devin Haney or fighting, you know, for the... I don't think it's about... I think it's about... He knows that he says he's the king. He's basically sitting on this throne. And that's why this fight is taking long to make. Because he's sitting on this throne and he's waiting for the offers to come in. He's waiting for these guys. Whatever offer he likes, whoever pays him the most or gives him an offer where it's a lot of money and they're fighting in Australia, or they're just paying him a sum of money. So like, for example, if Kambosos get paid like 7-8 million or something to come to America, I'm pretty sure he'd do it. Right now, Kambosos is just looking for a big paycheck. And listen, it's not just about the money. I'm pretty sure he believes he'll win as well. Because Kambosos is just coming off a very good win against Teofimo Lopez. But a lot of people expect him to lose to like some of these top guys in the lightweight division, which, you know, they may be underestimating him. But if I was Ryan Garcia, you're never going to have a better opportunity to win 3 belts against a guy who, you know, is a good fighter, but is a beatable fighter for Ryan Garcia. And you wouldn't say that about Ryan Garcia at this point against any formidable champion. You know, I saw some people saying Ryan Garcia is massive, he should move to 140 and fight Josh Taylor. I would give him literally no chance against Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's too technically sound. He's got too good a chin. He's just too good a fighter for someone like Ryan Garcia, who's very raw, very green. But against Kambosos, who I believe has kind of hit the jackpot a little bit. Kambosos himself, I still feel Kambosos is a good fighter, but I still feel that Kambosos is there for the taking. And I think someone like Ryan Garcia with his speed, his power could take him. Hence why I think his team, Golden Boy, should be putting in serious offers. Oh, that's hot, man. Yeah, should be putting in serious offers to make that fight. And I mean serious offers. They should be looking to break the bank. Because if Ryan Garcia, with his popularity, with his fame, can also get those belts, imagine how much bigger a star he'd become. If Eddie Reynoso and the team are confident that Ryan Garcia is capable of going in there and beating Kambosos, I think that's a fight. It's like a bit like AJ and Martin. Martin was a weak champion and AJ was the cash cow. He was a guy coming up and everyone was talking about AJ. AJ wasn't really ready for a world title shot. However, they've smelt it. They smelt the situation that this is a perfect chance for us to become world champion. It's not about whether you're ready to become a world champion or you're ready to be a world champion or are you ready for a world title shot. It's whether you can beat Charles Martin. And they were confident they can beat Charles Martin. They must have studied him. They must have had a look because they wouldn't have put AJ. AJ was too valuable and too much of a cash cow for them to risk it. They knew that AJ will beat him. Hence why AJ fought him, beat him. It was a calculated risk. A very calculated risk. And it worked. Because look at the career that AJ had after that. Ryan Garcia could be the same. Ryan Garcia could potentially be on the throne if he fights Kambosos next. Because like I said, I think he can win that fight. Whether he stops Kambosos... And listen, a lot of people were laughing at the fact that, you know, Ryan Garcia would stop Kambosos in 7 rounds. I think he could. I think he could. Wouldn't shock me in the slightest because Ryan Garcia is fast, he's explosive, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does stop Kambosos. I wouldn't be surprised he does. I think he's more than capable, honestly. I think he's more than capable. Because, like I said, if there was a formidable champion there, I wouldn't give Ryan Garcia a chance. but he isn't a formidable champion. And this is what I'm saying. I feel like Kambosos is looking for the most money he can get. That's what I believe. I truly believe he's looking for the best offer. It's not about who he fights, whether he fights Devin Haney, Lomachenko. It's about the money. It's about the money and the opportunity that presents itself. Hence why I think Golden Boy should, even if they want the fight in America, I feel like Golden Boy should pay him whatever he wants, or within reason, to bring that fight over to America, because Kambosos will come. If you offer Kambosos a serious amount of money, right, Kambosos would come and fight without question, because that's what he's waiting for. He's waiting for a huge offer, because at the end of the day, Kambosos' team and Kambosos' people aren't silly. Of course, they're confident that they win against anyone. Remember, this is a business. This is a business. This is about making money. Right? This is a business, and it's about making money, and Kambosos wants to make money. There's no doubt about it that Kambosos wants to make money in this fight, from this fight. And I just think it makes a lot of sense for me for Ryan Garcia and his people to make that fight. It's all right talking about it on social media. I'll knock Kambosos out. Make the fight then. Because Ryan Garcia hasn't got, they're talking about Tevin Farmer, but what does that fight do? What does that fight do? Ryan Garcia needs to come back with a bang. And like I said, Kambosos will also consider that fight more, because Kambosos will look at Ryan Garcia as a weak link. He'd look at him that I'll beat him. I'll get a huge paycheck and I'll beat him. Whereas Devin Haney and Lomachenko, he'd probably look at those fights as much tougher than a Ryan fight. That's what I'm saying, that I think Kambosos is more likely to take a Ryan Garcia fight, because of the fact that I think he'll beat Ryan, and also that Ryan would give him a huge payday, because Ryan's got a big name. The Golden Boy will be able to sell that fight. Like I said, they'll be able to do that on DAZN, and DAZN might be willing to pay over the odds. They may pay Kambosos huge money for it. This is what I'm saying. I think sometimes you've got to strike while the iron's hot, and sometimes you've got to look at the landscape, look at the situation, and strike. And I believe Kambosos will take the Ryan Garcia fight, just because I think he'll view Ryan Garcia as a weaker link than the other two. And Ryan Garcia's fight with Kambosos would be huge money. Not to say Lomachenko and Haney wouldn't, because let's not forget Devin Haney's also with DAZN. But I just think Kambosos may look at Ryan and think, I'll get a huge payday and I'll probably beat him in his head, right? And he probably views Ryan as a much easier fight than the other two. Do you see where I'm coming from? So personally, I just think that they should be all over it. I think Ryan Garcia and his people should be all over it, because I think whoever Ryan Garcia fights now is going to be a tough fight. They're talking about Tevin Farmer. They're talking about Isaac Cruz. Those are tough fights. They may end up being tougher fights than the Kambosos fight. But with the Kambosos fight, there's a lot of marbles on the line. There's a lot of money on the line. There's an opportunity for Ryan Garcia to become a superstar on the line. And it's a very winnable fight. So I would say that I think Golden Boy would be... I personally think any promoter at this point, Tank's promoter, Ryan's promoter, they're missing a trick if they don't look to pursue that fight, because they can become... Now, Ryan Garcia's and Oscar De La Hoya and Leonard Ellaby and Mayweather, they may already think, oh, Tank's already a star. But a star without no belts, a star that's not really a world champion in that division. Same with Ryan. Yeah, you've got followers, but followers don't mean belts. Followers don't mean that you've got credibility in terms of how good people think you are. By beating, Kambosos, you will then be the king of the division. Right now, Kambosos is calling himself the king of the division, because he's got most of the belts. That could be Ryan or Tank. So hence why I think it's a risk, but it's a calculated risk. That's why if you're Mayweather Promotions or you're Golden Boy, you look to break the bank to get this guy over and fight your fighter, because he's beatable. Kambosos is beatable for both Ryan and Tank. Against Tank, you'd have to make him Tank a firm favorite, and against Ryan, you'd have to say Ryan's got a very good shot. That's a 50-50 for me. I believe Ryan could beat Kambosos, because Kambosos is not a big puncher. That's not to say he can't hurt Ryan, because we saw Ryan down against Campbell, but I think that's a very winnable fight, and it won't shock me if what Ryan is saying about knocking over Kambosos in 7 rounds actually happens. It won't shock me. He could well lose the fight, but I think it's a calculated risk. I think it's a risk, but it's a calculated risk at this point. Because I think whoever he fights and the names that they're talking about are all risks, but with no real credibility. He beats Tevin Farmer, what'd that do? He beats, Isaac Cruz, what does that do? Nothing. Whereas I think him beating Kambosos, all the marbles are on the line, or most of them. He's one fight away of potentially, you could say he's undisputed. I know people will argue that Haney's got the WBC belt. I just like that fight. To be honest with you. I like Ryan Garcia v Kambosos. I think stylistically it'd be a good fight as well because Ryan likes to throw his hands. Ryan's got power. He's got hand speed. Not very good feet. He's a bit flat-footed. A suspect chin, so to speak, but we don't know yet. We saw him down against Campbell, who's not a big puncher, must be said. But I want to see how he, fares. I want to talk about a little bit about AJ, just a couple of minutes. Apparently, Eddie Hearn has confirmed that Anthony Joshua, they have received a step-aside offer. There's also that they're looking for more money. Apparently, they're looking for $5 million. Apparently, Eddie Hearn has rejected that the $15 million offer that's being reported, that's not true. And Little Penny, my good friend Little Penny, actually said that $15 million is quite a lot of money for a step-aside. Who's going to be paying that? So apparently, Anthony Joshua wants $5 million more, with $1 million going to charity. That's what I heard on TalkSport. What do I think of it? I think from a Eddie Hearn point of view, I think it's great. AJ gets a new trainer, gets to work with his trainer, gets a top, an easy fight, gets step-aside money. Happy days, and then he gets to fight the winner of Usyk Fury. Happy days. However, I don't really like it because it feels like, to me, AJ would be kind of surrendering to the fact that he wouldn't beat Usyk. And if Fury does beat Usyk and then AJ goes in and fights Fury, I feel like he still hasn't settled the score with Usyk. Because he'll have to fight Usyk, because that'll be a fight where people say, yeah, but you didn't beat Usyk. I feel like he's kind of sidestepping, and I feel like he should go and fight Usyk. I think wherever they step aside money, and it's not about the money. Eddie Hearn's right in the sense that AJ's got a lot of money. I just don't see what the value is of him taking step aside. AJ's got so much money, all right? I don't think there's any point of him stepping aside. Even if they pay him $10 million, then he has a fight, with his new trainer. I just think he just go for it, because at the end of the day, he's gonna have to face one of those two anyway. It feels like you're kind of, because in my opinion, I don't think if Fury beats Usyk, yeah, Fury AJ would still be a massive fight. It'd still be a huge fight, but I still don't think it holds the same value. Whereas if AJ was to go in and beat Usyk, right, I think then the fight becomes huge again. It still is huge, regardless of if he doesn't fight Usyk or not. But I just don't like it. I just feel like the sport of boxing, the heavyweight division, I feel like he should fight him again. And if he is look, I think people are worried that the AJ Fury fight will never happen. To be honest, I'm not too fussed about it. Yeah, I'd like to see it, but if AJ is not the best heavyweight, then who cares, And I'm pretty sure Fury might fight AJ anyway. Even if down the road, he may fight him anyway. Like if AJ was to lose to Usyk, then Usyk goes and fights Fury, that fight will probably still happen anyway because Fury wants that fight. AJ wants that fight. So Fury goes on to become undisputed. AJ Fury may still happen. Do you see where I'm coming from? So I don't really see... I don't really see what the issue is, to be honest. I just think he should just fight Usyk. I think they just think that another loss on his record would hurt his credibility, and he may be no way back. I think at this point, AJ, if he's going to fight any stern competition, is a risk. because AJ is just not that same guy that we once knew. He's not confident anymore. So no matter who he fights, it's a risk, especially in the heavyweight division. You know, I just think it's a risk. So personally, I just think AJ should take the gamble and just say, you know what? And if AJ still wants to fight on, even if he loses to Usyk, you know, a Fury fight's still going to be there. The Fury-AJ fight will still be big. Look, Khan Brook, for example. You know, these two guys are way past it. The fans still want to see it. You know, that could have probably sold out 40, 50,000 people. And it was two guys past their best. You see, fans in this country would still watch it. It doesn't matter whether AJ... it won't have the same kind of, you know, excitement it would have done if they're both, you know, champions. Yeah, but it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, people will still turn out because people don't care what belts are on the line. They just want to see a great domestic clash. They want to see a great fight, domestic clash. And domestic fights, big domestic fights always, you know, get a huge crowd out. So, you know, look, if AJ Fury happens, even after, if AJ was to fight Usyk and lose in a year and a half's time, it still sells out Wembley. It still does 80,000. It still do 100,000. It could do 150,000, even if AJ loses to Usyk. It's still big. So I don't really see why people, you know, really, yeah, I just want to see AJ fight Usyk. Avenge that loss. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What do you want to see? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.